Guys, there's a calculator in the way. Can you move it? Oh, sorry about that. Hey, all right. Ooh, look at a squirrel. Ooh, I want to go get that squirrel. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're going to finish up the week with cumulative frequency curves. And we'll start it off with just here's a little brief video that goes through the construction and how the different parts work. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. And I'm going to go get this squirrel.
In this video, we're going to look at cumulative frequencies, but we're going to start with a frequency table of a variable x given in certain classes with their respective frequencies given in a frequency column. And of course, this allows us to represent it with a histogram shown over here, where the height of the bars are given by the respective frequencies in those class intervals. Now, you can see that the central tendency lies somewhere around 50, but looking at cumulative frequencies allows us a much greater precision. So, to explore cumulative frequencies, we're going to add another column to this table, and the entries in the column are the frequencies added up that are before that. So 13, the second entry, is 3 plus 10. 31 is 3 plus 10 plus 18, or of course 13 plus 18. 55 is 3 plus 10 plus 80 plus 24, or 31 plus 24. 67 is 55 plus 12, and 70 is 67 plus 3, and 70 is the total number of data points. Now we can plot this to the cumulative frequency histogram, and those are the blue bars over here, where you can see that it keeps on growing because you keep adding the bar before that to the bar that was the histogram before. So you can see here how the blue one has made out of the previous blue bars and the underlying red one. Now, why is this useful? Well, the median, remember, is the data point is in the middle. So the middle of 70 is 35. But to help us in here, we're going to plot the cumulative frequency polygon. Now here these points are the endpoints of the interval. So that is important to realize. You use the endpoints of the interval, and that doesn't mean that we need to create one at the very beginning, in this case 20,0, which in a cumulative frequency polygon we join by straight lines. You can also use a curve. And now of course we can use a median which lies halfway to 70, which is 35, which you can see lies around 52, which much greater precision than we had without the cumulative frequency polygon. Of course we can also find Q1 and Q3, which lies at 25% and 75% up to 70. And here we have those values 43, 52, and about 59. And of course, with the endpoints as well at 20 and 80, we can now plot our box and whisker plots with the whiskers at the ends, the box given by the values of Q3 and Q1, and the median giving the line inside the box. Now, there's of course nothing really special about the quartiles. We can actually use arbitrary percentiles, which we're going to use over here. So, for example, if I'm interested in the 10th percentile, then I'll go 10% of 70, which is 7, and then we can see this around 34. So 34 demarcates a 10th percentile. Here's our 50th percentile, also called the median. If I'm interested in the 90th percentile, I go vertically to about 63, and you can see that the 90th percentile lies around 67. So if I'm above 67, I'm in the top 90th percentile. So quickly, here is our histogram, which allows us to build a cumulative histogram, which then, given the endpoints, allows us to create the cumulative frequency polygon, or if you use a smooth line in the graph. This easily allows us to find Q1, the median, and Q3, giving us a box and whisker plot, but we can also use it for arbitrary percentiles given our data. And that is that.
So that's a good overview, and I thought the guy had a pretty cool accent, so I wanted to show that to you. But it's a good explanation about all the stuff that we've done so far. So here we've got a quick example. A mining company. This is pretty relevant. Pinal County's got some copper mines in it. You might have folks that work for the copper companies out there. A mining company is trying to decide whether a particular region would be a good location for their next copper mine. They perform a feasibility study by collecting 40 samples from around the region, calculating the percentage of each sample that is made of copper ore. The cumulative frequency curve below shows the data collected. Use the graph to identify the median percentile. Well, we've got 40 samples, so the median is the same as the 50th percentile, which is the same as just cutting this in half. So we know our median value would be at 20, and we drop a line down, and that looks like it would be at about 44%. Each one of these boxes is an interval of 4. All right, 44% of the sample. Okay, so you got this sample of earth, okay, rocks, gravel. Out of that sample, 44% of it contains copper ore that you can refine into copper. All right, use the graph to find the IQR. So we need the lower quartile and we need the upper quartile. So if 20 was halfway, cut that in half. 10 would be our lower quartile, and that looks to be about 28. 28% of that particular sample contained copper ore, and then our upper quartile, well, we're dividing into intervals of 10, so that would take us up to 30, and our upper quartile, that sample, almost all of it is copper ore, 80% of it. So our interquartile range is 52%. All right, next off, it asks us to use the graph to identify the percentage of samples containing more than 20% ore. So if we look down here on the x-axis, this is the percent of the sample that is copper ore. There's 20. So if we draw a vertical line up to our graph and then over, it looks like it's about 6. All right, so we've got 6 samples that contain less than 20% copper ore. And then you got 34 samples that would have more than 20% copper. So it's asking us 34 then is what percentage of 40? And let's do that on calc. And that gives us 85%. Okay, use the graph to estimate the 90th percent. Okay, so 90% of 40 is going to give us 36. So 36 on the cumulative frequency. Draw my line over. Drop it down, and looks like we've got, let's see, it's 84, around 88. Okay. Well, that does it for this week, guys. I'm going to go chase me some squirrels. So you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.